Hey guys, Dantix here, back with another Diablo 4 video. The game has been in development for some time now, and Blizzard, even though they aren't in many people's good books, are thankfully bringing us semi-regular updates. Today's information loosely covers a broad range of topics, so in this video I'll be covering work from home status, blockout models, new storytelling methods, a changing open world multiplayer, items, progression classes and more. So the first thing to note is that the development team has fully transitioned to working from home status. They claim that despite this, momentum is still going strong. They actually found that working from home gave them a different perspective of the title and was a good way to reconnect as a team. The COVID situation hasn't been easy on developers, and it's good to see that production is continuing. The team also decided to share some Blockout assets with us. Usually developers hide these assets as they aren't flattering to say the least, and ultimately might not even make it into the game. Blockout assets are rough forms that haven't been polished as to not waste time and resources with something before it's tested. Here we see a blockout version of a dark hall and a more polished version next to it. Do note that Diablo 4 overall has a more dark and gritty feel, something that was lost in 3. Here we see a concept for a classic demon, roughly double the height of a human with different weapons and horn options. Now we see the blockout version of this demon. In the state the team can test its animations, its functionality in the game and more. Now we see a more polished version of the demon. Once again, this isn't final, but it's definitely not as colourful or as bright as the demons we've seen in Diablo 3. Diablo is a dark world and I want to see that reflected. Which brings us to the storyline. New to the Diablo series, you'll be having actual animated conversations. With simple ones, your camera will zoom in and you'll gauge the gravity of the moment more intimately. This leads me to believe the storytelling will be a stronger focus in 4 than it was in 3, which is definitely a welcome thing, as it was mostly there to kind of fill time while I looked through my inventory or walked around to the next quest. For a more complex conversation, the camera still zooms in, but the animations will be more deliberately handcrafted. You can see a screenshot from such an interaction. The final storytelling method is a real-time cutscene. In these moments, they grab your camera and treat the storytelling more like a movie, reserved for the biggest of story moments. Having these be real-time has advantages. They can show your character with more currently equipped armor as part of the scene, but they can also display them at your current resolution and with your currently enabled graphics settings, so they end up feeling more seamless and part of the game. If you remember the BlizzCon demo, you saw one of these cinematics, but they have been drastically improved since then. The open world is also something they've improved since the demo. The main game will have you focusing on the campaign and take you all over Sanctuary, but there are also a variety of open world systems and pieces of content you're discovering along the way. The devs mentioned that if you want to take a break from the main campaign and go exploring, crafting or PvPing, you're free at any time to do so. The idea is you can tailor how much side content you want based on your appetite. Some team members were said to have just rushed the mainline story, others took double the time to explore and do side content. There's a different mix of content, and when you choose to absorb it, is designed to make replaying the campaign more enjoyable. Besides the PvP, crafting, events and side quests, there is another open world feature: camps. These are locations overrun by enemies and can be cleansed to turn into a friendly outpost with NPCs and a waypoint. Quests won't send you to these camps, they're found just out in the open world, and there's a backstory to each of these, but it's portrayed mostly visually. It's purely optional. Examples they used were one of the camps in the zone was a town afflicted by a curse that turned villagers into piles of salt. Another was a crypt haunted by a spirit that possessed the bodies of various undead, jumping from skeleton to skeleton as you defeat him. This will make it so the open world actually changes as you interact with it. Not to mention, the world is huge. With a huge world comes a way to get around. Mounts will be a large boon in Diablo 4, not only offering a fast way to get around and explore, but another way to customize. You see, mounts are itemized as an axis of progression. They suggest you can add trophies to your mount, much like what you see in Witcher 3, so if you beat an obscure challenge, you can show it off to your friends. They do mention though that mounts are still a work in progress, as they sadly still get stuck on random places. I mentioned showing off to your friends, but multiplayer is also a work in progress. They attribute the development task as challenging. They want to make sure the game doesn't feel like an MMO, but they want it to feel like a shared world, while not overrun with other players. They want the world to feel dangerous, and you can't get that with too many other players around. So how it works is that dungeons and key story moments are always private, just the player and their party. Once story moments are complete and towns are turned into social hubs, you'd run into a few people in the town. While on the road, you'd sometimes run into a player here and there, and then finally, if you went to a location where a world event was happening, you would see a larger congregation of players trying to defend against an attack by a cannibal horde or trying to take down a large world boss like the one they showed at BlizzCon. These events don't require you to be in a party. You can stroll in, help, get a reward, and dust the trail. These quest types were popularized by the failed MMO Warhammer Online as a good system to encourage cooperation. The priority is for the world to feel alive and dynamic without compromising the feel of the game. If you still want the group up and traditional way of playing, you can do that, and there are a lot of tools to help you find a group, whether by activity or proximity in the game world. The developer has stated that Diablo 4 is the game you keep playing inside your head, as gear and skill choices will be impactful. You'll be thinking of the items that you could drop for your build, talents you could unlock, and key skill interactions even after you stop playing. Here's a look at some items. 2 amulets, a staff, and pants, some requiring ancestral power and some demonic. It's nothing special to note, however take a look at these legendaries. Each generate their own playstyle around them. For example, the Ire legendary mace reduces your damage but lets you use more fury, therefore you can build around spending more time in Whirlwind for example. Nature's Balance is all about juggling between storm and earth damage to maximize output. Chill Grip begs for high crit chance to fire off free spells. This is all nothing new to Diablo veterans, but it's good seeing they're focusing on what makes an ARPG important. So they've taken our feedback on the Barbarian's arsenal and the Druid's shape-shifting systems and now are applying the feeling and similar innovations to all classes. This means a sorceress rework because out of the 3 classes we got to play, she felt by far the most boring. For those who don't know, the Barb will equip 2 single-hand weapons, a bladed and a 2-handed weapon at any time. Then when you use as a skill, it will seamlessly use the weapon associated with it. A big earth-shattering attack will whip out your 2-handed weapon. Fast fury building strikes will use your dual-wielding 1-handed weapons. A similar system is in place for Druid with shape-shifting. You shift between human, bear, and wolf forms seamlessly, and it's beautiful. The Sorcerer had nothing like that in comparison. I digress though, the team claims that Diablo 4 isn't even in alpha yet, and they're still a long ways away. So what do you think? Are you happy to hear an update on the progress? Let me know below. I'm personally excited for another Diablo. It's not an off-season April Fool's joke. Diablo 2 was much of my childhood, and I'm happy to know that this iteration will be handled at least with some care. Thanks for watching guys, you know what to do. For everything RPG, keep it fixed to /Dantics. Ciao friends.